Did you know that Minnesota is home to the most named lakes in the US? And that you can live in Florida without paying any income tax? Today, we will go over the top 10 best states to live in America for 2023. To determine this list, we have examined numerous factors, including healthcare, infrastructure, education, natural environment, economy, cost of living, and crime rates. Number 10, Florida. Every day, the Sunshine State attracts more and more people to its warm skies and sandy beaches, and it's not hard to see why. In 2017, the US News and World News ranked Florida as the 24th best state to live in. In 2019, the state was bumped up to 13th, and now 3 years down the line, Florida is now the 10th best state to live in. This just proves that the time to move to Florida is now, because the state is bound to get even better. Although Florida's public school system can be considered average, the state's higher education system ranks first in the country in terms of access and affordability. Its low-cost education system turns out a high rate of graduating students, most of them who graduate with low student loan debt. So even if the state has no Ivy League schools, Florida still has an education system that's worth talking about. If you are looking to skip school and dive right into corporate or even entrepreneurship, the Sunshine State has you covered. Florida has one of the most substantial economies in the country. Its GDP was over $1.1 trillion in 2021. To put that in perspective, if Florida were a country, it would be among the 15 richest countries in the world. And according to the country's Bureau of Labor Statistics, the state of Florida added over 500,000 jobs in 2021. That was a 6% increase overall in its employment rate, and seeing how Florida is currently ranked as number 2 on the nation's chart for numeric population growth, it is safe to say it will only get better to accommodate new masses. If all the country rankings and stats don't mean much to you, the Sunshine State should entice you with its beautiful warm weather, resort-like beaches, laid-back lifestyle, affordable housing, and the bonus of no state income tax. Number 9, Massachusetts. Next on the list is none other than the Baked Bean State. Currently, Massachusetts is the most populous state in the New England region of northeastern America, and judging from the rate at which new residents are flocking in, it's pretty evident that they know something you don't. The good news is, you are about to find out. Although the state's infrastructure may be ranked much lower among the country's other states, Massachusetts offers one of the best healthcare and educational services. The state boasts of having the greatest number of providers per capita for both primary care and mental health. It also houses Ivy League schools like Harvard and MIT, and has the highest college graduation attainment rate in the country. The cost of living in Massachusetts is a bit on the high side, with the average renter spending about $1,225 a month, $202 more than the country's average. But the state makes up for this by having the highest level of insurance coverage. Only 3% of its population reports that they don't have any insurance. Practically, everybody is covered. What truly puts the state of Massachusetts on this list is its 2023 fiscal budget of $52.7 billion. The budget aims to throw all that money at a spending plan that supports families, businesses, and workers in the coming year. $1.18 billion of the funding will be going to its early education system, so it can rival the state's already highly ranked higher education system. And $884.6 million would be going to the housing sector for much needed improvement. The rest of the state's budget will be used for developing other areas and generally improving on what it already has that made it the 9th best state to live in America. Number 8, Wisconsin. Unlike Massachusetts, with its high housing cost, Wisconsin goes easier on your pockets and savings. In Wisconsin, the average renter only spends about $837 a month on housing, $186 less than the country's average of $1,023. This, in part, makes the overall cost of living in Wisconsin much lower than America's average, putting only 10% of the state's residents at or below the poverty line. In general, the state goes easy on the average household. It has the 9th best fiscal stability in the country and creates a lot of opportunities for the working class, making it one of the best states to raise a family. And once you get used to the state's frigid winters, Wisconsin shows its overall appeal with its low crime rate, excellent economy, and education system that is ranked 8th in the whole country. It is definitely one of the best places to raise a family and also a better place to grow old in years to come. Number 7. Virginia. There are not many states in the country that can effortlessly offer you both the fast-paced action of urban cities and the slow-paced hospitality of small towns, and Virginia does precisely that. The Old Dominion state pretty much has it all to suit your tastes. Some stability for the family man, thrill for the adventure seekers, peace and quiet for the old-timers, and a booming economy for business. The state's economy is considered a powerhouse, and so it is consistently ranked among the country's top states for business. Virginia's economy only got better this year, and it is projected to outperform the country in the coming years. Currently, Virginia has an unemployment rate of 4.62%, which is slightly lower than the national average, and it keeps getting better. The unemployment rate went from 2.6% in August from 2.7% the previous month. That and its powerhouse economy have given the state a pretty low poverty level, with only 9.8% of its residents falling at or below the poverty line. With only 8.5% of its residents experiencing food insecurity, the Old Dominion state ranks 8th most food-secure state in the country. Needless to say, worries about the next meal certainly won't be keeping you up at night in the coming years. Along with food, crime will also not be much of a bother, with the rate of property and violent crimes being significantly lower than the national average. Virginia's incarceration rates are higher than the country as a whole. 422 out of 100,000 individuals are imprisoned in the state. Number 6. Nebraska. With a lot of friendly people all around, the Cornhusker State has one of the best environments for living a relaxed life and building a happy home. If that doesn't make moving to Nebraska perfect for you, then let's get technical. Even though the state is packed with little towns, it has one of the strongest infrastructures in America. Its towns are highly developed with all the charms of a big city, giving you a feel of both urban and rural setups at the same time. That's what I like to call the best of both worlds. Although the state's water quality is negatively impacted by its high level of agricultural activity that causes herbicides to run into the groundwater, Nebraska has one of the largest amounts of renewable energy use. This definitely earns the Cornhusker State a pass mark in terms of natural environment. Along with the beauty of the state, what truly makes Nebraska one of the best states in the country is that it is the second most affordable state in the US. Housing, healthcare, food, utilities, and transportation are much lower than the national average. It also has one of the lowest unemployment rates the country has to offer at 1.9%, which is much lower than the national average of 6%. All these make Nebraska not only a good state for relaxing and raising a family, but also a fantastic place for job hunters. Number 5. Idaho. In the late 1800s, Idaho, like many other US states, attracted its first residents with the discovery of gold in the region. They came, they mined, and they settled. Just like it did before, the state of Idaho is attracting numerous new residents, but this time it's the discovery of it being one of the best states to live in, now and in the coming years, that is bringing people in. The biggest reason why Idaho is one of the best states in America is that it has the fastest growing economy in the country, with a 5-year GDP growth rate of 17%. This, and maybe in large part the state's budget, which ended the year with a surplus of $1.4 billion, is responsible for Idaho's economic boom and high financial stability. The rate of unemployment in the state sits at 2.7%, significantly lower than the national average. The bliss of not having to worry about job availability. Number 4. New Hampshire. You might be wondering what one of the country's smallest states could have to offer in a list like this. Well, a lot. Although New Hampshire holds the title of the state with the shortest shoreline, what it lacks in size, it makes up for with the uniqueness and natural beauty of its small towns. The Granite State is always ranked among the top 10 in terms of the natural environment, and it has one of the highest air qualities in the country. So, if you happen to be someone who likes breathing clean air, then this may be the state for you. Another breath of fresh air New Hampshire gives you is the low rate of crime in the state. It leads the country in crime and corrections, having one of America's lowest incarceration rates. 197 out of 100,000 individual residents are imprisoned, a whole lot lower than the country's average of 359 per 100,000. Violent crime in the Granite State is the second lowest in the country, and the average rate of property crime in the whole country is twice that of New Hampshire. It may not be the perfect state to start a family due to its slightly expensive housing costs, but it's perfect for that ideal small-town life. Number 3, Utah. While the Beehive State's economy is not nearly as large as that of Florida or even Texas, size isn't everything when it comes to economic productivity, and Utah proves that by currently being the top-ranked state in the country in terms of economy. If you are looking at your career options or starting a business, Utah is a good state to consider moving to. It is perfect for achieving financial goals in the short term, and the long-term benefits in the years to come are immense. Utah's unemployment rate of 2% is the lowest in the country, closely tied with Nebraska. The state is the country's forerunner in reducing unemployment with a job growth rate of 3.7%, primarily in trade, transportation, utilities, and business services sectors, along with construction and manufacturing. Number 2, Minnesota. There's a reason they call Minnesota the land of 10,000 lakes. As much as there are thousands of lakes to explore in Minnesota, there are also thousands of reasons why it is the second best place to live in for 2023. Not only does Minnesota rank second on this list, but it also ranks second in the number of opportunities a resident could get living in the state. With a number of Fortune 500 companies all around the state, this comes as no surprise. With 16 Fortune 500 companies to throw around jobs, Minnesota has one of the lowest levels of unemployment. As a result, the state has one of the lowest poverty levels in the country, with only 8.6% of Minnesota's residents living at or below the poverty line. It's no shock that Minnesota has one of the country's highest levels of home ownership and food insecurity. Minnesota is ranked the 4th best state to raise a family, not only because of the unemployment rate and economy, but also because of the low levels of separation and divorce. Although Minnesota provides an excellent early education system for the kids, higher education is, however, a bit more expensive, and the state's property gap is one of the widest in the country. Number 1, Washington. What makes living in Washington state so great? Well, for one, this means having access to one of the largest state economies in the country. The state is ranked in the top 10 based on its gross domestic product. That and boasting of an unemployment rate lower than the country's average makes Washington a great place to work in. And if you decide to do that, there are still more perks. With a very attractive job market and seeing how Washington is home to the headquarters of big names like Microsoft, Amazon, Starbucks, Costco, and more, your career options in this state tend to look a little more colorful. As a local working in Washington, there are no personal state income taxes for you to spend on. Washington is one of only 9 states in the entire country that allows this. Along with no personal tax, the state also does not have a corporate income tax. A thriving career is not the only benefit Washington offers. It also offers a beautiful environment as it is surrounded by miles of Pacific coastline and serene mountain ranges. This truly makes it the best state to live in for 2023. But what about America's most beautiful states? Check out the video we made on that topic right here.